sun's shining, I'm going to come grab this, and I noticed with these cloth that it's thinner at the top than at the bottom. Just get a little bit of that value in, and then I'll put this one in. And although in real life they're made with the same thing, I just want to make sure that they aren't the same shape. Changing the way you move your pencil, giving it different strokes, that helps because you don't want everything to feel even. I'm going to erase my lines behind that. It might cover it up, but it might not, and I don't want it to be too apparent. That front edge. This hang down, let this go down here. I don't want it to be like a blob, so. But having these little hooks will help. Something is metal, you usually get whites and blacks and a gray. Not soft edges, but hard edges. So. Value in where I've got it. There's a little line right there. I'm just going to allude to that real quick. And then I want all of my hooks to line up. So 1, 2, one here and one there. And I better make sure the tops line up too. Okay. So now on this one, this hook is barely going to show that scarf. So I'm kind of making hard edges for the metal and soft edges for the cloth or the scarf there. Now, because this is a sketch, I could get really detailed with those little guys, but then all my focus will go to them. So I'm not sure that that's really what I want. So I'm just going to get some of that little detail in here. And then move on. I'm just going to allude to these edges right here of the frame. And if I need to, when I have it sitting straight on a table, I can double check any of those vertical lines, because vertical stays vertical, right? I'm going to get this, at least part of this, that's off. Fix that guy. I want to get at least part of this print in there, because I like it. I'll get the second half on that bench one day, but just get a little bit of value in there. I'm not putting it in detail because that is not my focus. I'm just putting some value in. Okay, and oh, cat's cute now. Oh well. You can see as soon as I put darker lines in there and I have this white here, suddenly that becomes my focal point. When you have the brightest area of contrast, that becomes your focal point. Get that in there. Let's see, I haven't decided what the value of my bench is going to be. I'm going to put my shadows in before the sun goes behind the clouds. putting this shadow in here, it's also accenting the highlight of the scarf. And finally the cat sits on the towel. Oh well. He is going to stay in my drawing where I put him. Shadows aren't black. Shadows are every value there can be. It depends on the surface, how bright the light is, any reflected light. There's just so much that it depends on. So I'm going to get the background shadow so that I can figure out what I'm going to do with the value of the bench. Even this is where I did my line drawing. But I'm adding in value now. So each of these little guys is casting a shadow on the wall. So I'm just getting that in here. Funny thing is, they almost appear to be more straight the farther along they go. Gotta get some deep darks. I want to get full value range if I can. I'm going to get some deep darks. The side of this bench is going to be my black. And I don't want to do my mid value first. I'm doing my blacks first here because I'll lose them. I'll lose everything if I don't give myself some value change. It's called bracketing when you put the lights and the darks in and then you figure out the medium. Let's see. See, I almost lost it there. It's kind of hard to see sometimes. That was kind of jagged, so I got to go back in and fix that. It's funny how you just do a little bit and suddenly you have a lot of depth. Just putting that in, my bench has a lot more depth now than it did before. So I'm going to get my darks in on my bench. Make this darker. That's going to be darker. Get some value in there. If two things blend together, it's not always a bad thing. And one object doesn't have to have the same value for the entire length of it. It can change from one value to another. Okay, front of this bench. There. I don't want it to look like I've scribbled. If I'm going to use a hatch or a horizontal mark, I want to be pretty even with it. Looks like I've gone over 3 surfaces with that. That's not going to work. Each surface, I think, is better when it's treated on its own. So these are parallel with each other, but I'm going to do this first. And I'm going to come back and do these. I just don't want it to look like zigzag or like coloring book. This is a sketch, so it's not like detailed value, but you could also hold your pencil like this. I think I'm going to do that for these floorboard lines because I want them to be a little bit softer. I still have to keep in mind my perspective and what direction my floor is going. And now this is casting a shadow here, so I've got to get that shadow under there, and it needs to be darker than the floor itself, or it doesn't feel like a shadow. So shadow on this wall, it comes up here, it gets lighter and lighter. Okay, when I look at the wall, this whole wall is a lighter value than this wall. And there is kind of a shadow there. I'm going to have to do something to get that depth. There was a shadow that I put in there, but I'm going to put the wall behind it. That will just give the same value to the entire wall, and it darkens the shadow slightly so it feels like it's in keeping with what's happening with the wall. Okay. Now, not every area of this wall is the same value, so I've got to make this slightly darker. And it gets darker down in here. I tried to pick a simple area indoors to draw, but it seems like once you get going, there's nothing that's really, really simple. I think one of the easiest things is if you're doing like down a hallway, that one's a good one to do. There's a really light shadow on the wall, and I'm realizing that is actually a cast shadow from the reflected light of the wall opposite. It's kind of interesting. I don't want to do that in the same direction, it will feel weird. Because I've got two different surfaces, they're 90 degrees to each other. So I've got to come in and make that edge work. Whatever I have to do to the edge to make it work, I gotta do. So I think what I'm gonna do is make this darker because my slightly darker wasn't working. So sometimes you gotta adjust. Shadow there. Okay. Another thing with this sketch, we can always do hatch lines. So my sketch, my sample sketch here for you, has got a lot of different methods. And you probably won't want to use all of these methods. Now that Kat's moved, it's a little bit different to see what's happening there. I think I want to keep the surface of this bench a little bit lighter so that the cat stands out. You notice this is all one pencil that I'm using. Can certainly use more than one, but I realize that some of you are not with your supplies necessarily, so going to cast a shadow too, so I'm going to make that shadow go in this direction. Okay, this wall is going to be darker than the other wall. Oh, I was going to do that hatched for you. Forgot. This is hatching, but really close together, whereas sometimes you just do it like this. Continuous motion does different things than a non-continuous motion. Okay, I don't want my eye to come to this part of the drawing. This is a very loose part, but I want my eye to focus down here to the cat, so that's one reason why I did those lines. That should help my eye come down here. This part of the door, I'm actually going to go in lightly do the door. I don't want attention on this door. Sorry, pretty shaky today. I can't have those lines be the same because one is at the bottom and one is at the top, so I've got to make one narrower than the other. This really is hinging, but just very lightly, just so that it feels like there's some detail to that. Let's put some value here. And I don't want to get much on this doorknob because it's almost off the page. Straighten that line up. Okay. Let's see. I think we need to add more value. It's just not dark enough. Make this a little darker. And as you do this, you would probably benefit from choosing a spot, doing a quick sketch, doing your little line tracing, seeing if it works out. You know, you can even take your newsprint and just do a quick sketch with it. Does it work out? Is it making a good drawing? Because you can't include everything. Sometimes we think we see this much, we can include that much, but really you can only include some of what you see. So you would probably benefit from, spending 30 minutes doing, 3 different 10-minute sketches than just choosing one and starting without even knowing if you're going to be able to do it. This is too light and I can't quite make this work for me. This direction, this board. We're going to get more value on this board. A little bit of cross hatching. Okay, so now I can put some of that value in the bench. This is not a fantastic drawing of, you know, of the best things that I can do, and I don't expect this to be the best drawing that you can do. What I want from you is to learn to see and to put something on paper. So if I make some of this value a little bit darker right here, it will kind of help pull that down to the cat. Kind of bring your eye this direction. I want to make sure that as your eye goes through, that has plenty of things to look at, but also things that bring it back. I'm going to get the shadow here. Cast shadow on this. Cast shadow behind that. Cast shadow there. Okay. Now, where I'm sitting, this feels like I need to readjust this bench. So, I am. I actually had that bench coming up too far and I didn't like it, so I'm going to bring it down farther. Why we have pencils and erasers, right? Because we can rework things. Next week we're going to be using ink, but it'll still work. We're going to get a little bit of a shadow on that side. Now, when I get this down, I'm probably going to have to do a little bit more erasing, but I'll probably play with this a little bit as well. I got to put shadows here. When you do shadows, try not to do them, shadows or reflections, try not to do them as sharp edged as your objects. So then they will feel a little bit more ethereal. Okay, close enough for now.